Hope I get to about 2 top 40 extras before I complete this countdown on my fancy playlist. I got about 4 more songs to go on this fancy playlist, and these top 40 extras, I'm going to try to get to at least 1 or 2 before I finish this countdown. Lost 45 by Kim Carnes. Abadabadango. The name of the record, the album Barking at Airplanes. It was a runner-up. She had a minor hit. I don't know if anybody remembers the song, but she did have a minor thing, relatively minor hit, forgotten oldie now, Barking at Airplanes. That was in the summer of '85. Abadabadango, runner-up to that. Absolutely delicious, delightful, high-tech dance record, techno dance record. Got a great dance beat to it. I should have, if I was a little bit older, a little bit wiser, I would have put this thing right in the top 40 of my fancy playlist, but how about it? Just went strictly by the charts for the most part. Did not make top 40. Abadabadango. Kim Carnes, she's pretty interesting because she's capable of doing some mainstream stuff. Say like More Love, when she covered More Love by Smokey Robinson. She covered that 1967 song by Smokey Robinson, and yet she would go into a little somewhat darker or spookier place, like with Betty Davis Eyes, and draw up the cards. If I remember correctly, there was even some evil laughter and Draw Up the Cards near the end of the song, but don't quote me on that. That was in late 1981. Now, that was from the album Mistaken Identity. Kim Carnes started out as a songwriter. She played in local clubs. She was a background session singer in the 60s. Very young, just barely out of her teenage years. And she got a publishing deal. Oh, you won't believe it. Talk about a break. Jimmy Bowen. She got a publishing deal with Jimmy Bowen. Jimmy Bowen was a big producer back in the 60s and 70s. In the 70s, in the late 70s, he was producing and working with people like Reba McEntire, the Oak Ridge Boys, Garth Brooks, I believe he worked some with him, and of course Glenn Campbell. But here's the thing about Jimmy Bowen. In 1950, he co-wrote Party Doll with Buddy Knox. Yes, he did. And it was that Party Doll, also covered by Steve Lawrence back in 1957, getting to the sock hop years now. But the flip side of that record, Party Doll, was I'm Sticking With You, which was by Jimmy Bowen. And that song was a hit by Jimmy Bowen. It's forgotten now, went to number 14. He was a rockabilly man. But in the 60s, boy, he drifted, he was producing. Remember Dino, Desi, and Billy? Man, they had that delightful record in the 60s. 1965, I'm a Fool. Remember that had sort of a garage band sound. Well, that was produced by Jimmy Bowen. But Jimmy Bowen producing records by Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., and he recorded Strangers in the Night by Frank Sinatra, Jimmy Bowen. So this guy was a big deal, and he signed Betty Davis. I mean, not Betty Davis. I'm looking at Betty Davis Eyes, the song title. He signed Kim Carnes to a publishing deal, and he produced Kim Carnes' first album. I wrote down the name of her first album. It's somewhere among my chicken scratch. But she came out with her first album in 1972. Her second album was self-titled, and it featured You're a Part of Me, which was a fairly sizable hit in 1975. Sailing came out in 1976. Part of the album Sailing recorded at Muscle Shoals right here in Alabama, just north here of Tuscaloosa, maybe about a 3 or 4 hour drive from Tuscaloosa, with the Muscle Shoals rhythm section. And of course, one of her big albums, Mistaken Identity with Betty Davis Eyes. There was Draw the Cards on there. Boy, that was a spooky record. Was not a big hit though. Went to number 29. And what else do I need to say about this record? Oh gosh, dog it. Yes, her album Barking at Airplanes did not do that well. It was critically acclaimed, but did not do that well. It sold less than 200,000 copies. Forgotten. And Abadabadango only got as high as number 67 on Billboard's Hot 100. And I guess, unfortunately, not doing much better on my fancy playlist. But I gotta tell you, if I had to do it all over again, because I love that dance music, this would be in the top 40 of my fancy playlist. But that was then, this is now, and the song by Kim Carnes, only a top 40 extra on my fancy playlist of August 10th, 1985.